Welcome back to Tousi TV, your global news channel. We come to you guys with the latest news update, this time from Indonesia, as the protests across the country have now escalated to an uprising. And of course, the Indonesian army have now been ordered to take control of the streets of Jakarta. Of course, we're going to give you guys the latest videos that we have received over the last couple of hours. And of course, we're now expecting over the next few hours, the next day, in Indonesia for the protests to escalate again. Government buildings have been set into fire, and even the attack on the parliamentary building. The president President Subianto has now decided to cancel his visit with the Chinese leadership as he now has to take control of the situation. We're going to explain exactly what's going on here for those of you who are not familiar with the situation in Indonesia. We are currently having a bit of an issue on this channel. We are not able to get hold of our Tousi TV agents on the ground in Indonesia. There is a massive crackdown on press and media, but we will give you guys everything that we have already been given. First things first, this is just a perfect example of absolute chaos of a government, but considering that, well, Indonesia is one of the largest Islamic countries, but also an extremely nationalist country. The government is supposed to be right-leaning, but they are very centralized. They're not necessarily a pro-free market government. They are very much in favor of centralization and statism. They might be traditional in their approach. They're not necessarily socially liberal, but they do believe in high taxes. And of course, there's a lot of government debt going on. With all the recent consequences to the financial budget, a 30% hit in Indonesia, there doesn't seem to be any appetite to solve the economic crisis. So protests over centralization, economic crisis. Now, over the last few days, things have been escalating. There is now the police brutality accusations because the police killed a delivery driver or a taxi driver. The left are now leading the protests. The government is now basically asking, because the government, the party, the Gerinda party, or the Great Indonesia Movement Party, they are directly linked to the army. This is what's happening right now. Now, the problem with this is that overall, the people of Indonesia, great people, who are, as I said, they are very nationalist. Obviously, the president, Subianto, has been in power since October 2024. There was a bit of a honeymoon period the first few months, but considering that the previous leader was technically independent, slightly more left-leaning, but before that you had the Democrats, which is center-right party. This government, it was supposed to bring sanity back to the finances and everything else. Obviously, any sort of reform to the budget of the country when it comes to austerity, cutting government budgets, was always going to be angering the left. But the problem here is that the politicians right now in Indonesia have been exposed of being a bunch of hypocrites because they are spending taxpayers' money on themselves, while obviously raising taxes and cutting everything else. So they are supposed to be right-leaning, but at this point they're not. Apart from their nationalism, you now have on the streets, I mean, you have the left-wingers on the street, but you also have populists and everybody else fighting back. So rubber bullets initially was, again, the last few days, but now rubber bullets have been fired at point-blank range. And widespread beatings. Videos obviously are circulating online showing police vehicles driving directly into the crowds of protesters. The next footage we're going to show you is the angry mob setting the local parliamentary building on fire. At least 3 people have been killed inside. 5 more have been hospitalized after jumping out to escape the flames. Let's go and see what happened there. We'll bring the footage of the fire in a second. This is clear. I mean, putting aside the fact that the government, since October 2024, over the last almost year, they had their popularity because they are nationalists, they are patriotic, they care. That is slowly going down because of the fact that the mismanagement of the way the budget of the country works. It's not really just about the reaction of the police, because there will be a lot of people in Indonesia who say, yes, do a crackdown. But there's going to be a lot of other people being angry, and I'll explain why they're going to be angry, because this is where things are getting really weird for normal people in the country. We now have revelations, and Tousi TV can confirm that the politicians, the so-called politicians in Indonesia, in Jakarta, are pocketing $3,000 in terms of conversion to US dollars a month, housing allowance on taxpayers' money, $3,000 a month. That's 10 times, almost 10 times the minimum wage in terms of the rate for minimum wage in Indonesia. The government are now so desperate, and I'm not saying this because there are a lot of people on the streets right now, that the left-wing troublemakers who are also taking advantage of this. I'm not even defending them because they're a bunch of nutters. But when you have the government now offering allegedly $9,000 to content creators in Indonesia for pro-government content to obviously curb the unrest. So there are a lot of accusations here, but let's not forget, on the one hand, the government's supposed to be caring, they are supposed to be nationalists. They are not pro-free market, so they have to raise taxes and centralize more powers while cutting the budget of the government. It's the government spending. The left obviously are taking advantage, but there's a lot of normal people out there saying, well, we're sick and tired of this. We need better management. These are the government buildings. Also, you are always going to get this level of anger and passion, considering the two elements that make up Indonesia as an identity at this point. One, a huge Islamic country culturally, but also hugely nationalist. So they would care, they would get angry. And this is why the police have been struggling over the last few days. That's why they had to get the military to go to Jakarta to take control. Anyway, so that's that. As we said, the President Subianto has now cancelled his visit to China after the massive protests have now reached the government buildings across 3 provinces, by the way. The whole thing is turning to complete violent unrest. Government buildings have been set on fire. As we said, there's also the issue of the political leaders who've been told to stay at home. Do not leave your houses. Do not even travel anywhere. It's not safe for you. And the fascinating thing about this is that there's not much coverage by the international mainstream media. But of course, we are here to make sure you guys are up to date. This is the media from Indonesia.
Situasi ini terjadi setelah aksi demonstrasi yang awalnya berpusat di Polres Kediri, Kota Melebar. Terlihat api besar menyala, pemadam pun tiba di lokasi sekitar pukul.
Bringing this down, there is the widespread protests at this point. They've obviously gone from Medan to Papua, and nearly 1,000 people have now been arrested. This is just in Jakarta alone, just almost 1,000 people, and one of the issues right now is the cost of everything. There's a cost of living crisis for normal people in Indonesia, but there's also a cost of living crisis for the government in terms of government spending. And the issue with this is that if you want to do law and order, and if you want to do crackdown, if you end up arresting more people, every single person who's been arrested, there's a cost to it, to the government and the taxpayer. And in terms of the prison system and the judiciary, the police process and everything else that you have. So on top of all that, and the government obviously spending more money on content creators, it doesn't look too good right now. But again, doesn't excuse the political left taking advantage, the Antifa type idiots on the street. As we said, we unfortunately have not been able to get hold of our Tousi TV agents. We've got a couple of them in Indonesia. There's a massive crackdown on press and media as well, although this is probably going to be one of the excuses for the mainstream media. Apart from Al Jazeera are still there, and they are, they are protected obviously by the state in Indonesia. They are still reporting, but the others, I'm not really sure what's going on. Let's go to the next one. Right. I think there's a bit of a problem with the live chat as well. I hope you can actually see and hear me, the internet connection. The Indonesian National Army is now preparing to take over the streets in Jakarta. The video we have from this, the soldiers seem to be armed with the Belgium-made NATO assault rifles. Let's quickly show you what is going on here. These are of course, the armed forces personnel.
Bantuan dipersiapkan. Merapat ke itu.
Yeah. Now, the last video we have before we get some of your reactions, I mean, at this point, one of the major issues is that if the government is not able to stop this over the next couple of days, because obviously it's now Saturday, it's going to be Sunday now, it's Sunday in Indonesia now, it is going to make things more difficult for the lawmakers to actually even try to meet up to have emergency meetings, to even if they want to make any U-turn on policy, they can't, because they will be attacked on the streets. The buildings are being burned down, and that's why, as I said, they've told the politicians to stay at home. It's just not safe for you to go anywhere. Police cars can't escape from the crowd. That is one of the reasons that the army had to get involved. Let me show you one example of the situation on the streets. Chaos. Yep. Now, I am having a bit of a technical problem, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not really sure if there is an issue with you guys as well. The live chat right now is frozen. I can see some comments from earlier on when we started the live stream, but I don't get it. So we got, okay, I can react to some of the comments that you guys posted, but nothing else is coming in for the past like 10 minutes. We got obviously getting close to 5,000 people watching live, by the way. Emma says, a bit rich complaining about vloggers profiting when you grift from the UK protests, my guy. No, there's a difference. I understand you didn't have a good childhood. Your parents probably didn't love you enough and you didn't have good education background. So there are differences in Indonesia. The government is paying the content creators to post pro-government content. In the UK, in the US, in France, wherever else, in Canada, there are people, sometimes left-wing vloggers, sometimes right-wing vloggers or podcasters. They obviously they do their job, and yes, they do grift, if you want to call it that, and they obviously generate revenue either through adverts or sponsors or whatever they have. That is a whole different thing. So vloggers could be left-wing or right-wing, it doesn't matter, as long as they don't get money from the government, it's okay. If you get money from the government, that becomes a bit of an issue. So obviously you don't understand how life works, and it's not really your fault. Anyway, yeah, I still don't see the live chat. I'm gonna go to the members of Tousi TV Plus, because you guys, can you please let me know on our Discord server, let me know what's going on with the YouTube chat. Are you guys also having the same problem? I'm so sick of the brainwashing going on. Will the world ever return to normal? Someone should direct the terrorists in the making of Allah's snack bar. We're getting some breaking news. Okay, there we go. Pork says, did you start a new conflict for the channel, man? It's not my fault. I am not responsible for what's going on in Indonesia. Come on. It's not always my fault. All right. And what's happening in Indonesia? Sorry, I'm smashed. I had to ask. Now you've shown the footage. I know they're not happy. Yeah, usually when you're not happy, you protest and riot. What is going on? Yes, Pork says the live chat is frozen. V6 says channel check for live stream. It looks like a chain reaction across the world with protests. Carly says there is a live stream shout out. Number 1, then number 2. Yeah, I'm reading it, Carly. You posted in the shout out. Live chat has disappeared from the TV YouTube app. Yeah, but I think it's just completely disappeared. We also have the second one here, the second shout outs page. What is going on? This is a big mystery right now. Susie says, breaking, the Iraqi Ministry of Defense received direct messages from the Trump administration that a large-scale military operation against pro-Iranian organizations in Iraqi territory is expected soon. According to the American officials, the move is intended to allow Israel and the US to eliminate Iran's affiliates across the Middle East. One senior official emphasized Israel is heading towards the complete destruction of Iran's affiliates remaining in the region. Yeah, that was always going to be the next step, obviously, in regard to the proxies. I mean, Hezbollah in Lebanon is falling apart. Gaza is almost over. The Houthis have been, basically, the leadership have been eliminated. Next is obviously Iraq. Syria obviously fell. Next is Iraq. And then the final destination is Iran. Live chat has disappeared from, yeah, that's the one. Evening Tousi, at least our chat works even if the world is crumbling around us, Peter Center. Yeah, at least, yeah, the live chat on YouTube is frozen for some reason, but it's okay because if you're a member of Tousi TV Plus, you can still leave your comments in our chat forum. And if you're wondering how you can do that, obviously you can join. You can become a member of Tousi TV Plus, scan the QR code or go on tousi.tv. And then obviously you get access to the app. Don't forget, app. That's the most important thing. Download the Tousi TV app, the home of geopolitical news. And you get access to, obviously, the live shows, the news posts, podcasts, documentaries, but also the chat forum, which we currently have right here. There we go. Any update about what's going on in Venezuela? So actually, we are in touch with our Tousi TV agents in South America, in Argentina, about what is going on with the Venezuelan opposition as well. We will give you guys an update very soon on that because The relationship between Venezuela and the Islamic Republic has basically resulted in the Venezuelan dictatorship and Maduro coming up with the backup plan on how he can control the country and how he can basically cling on to power. They are losing a lot of their resources, which makes things hard for the communists. All right, so I'm not really sure what's going on with YouTube, the live chat. I wonder if we can find out whether other live streams have also been affected or not. So it's a bit of a mystery right now, but apologies for those of you who've been trying to leave a live chat reaction. We have not been able to do this for you tonight, but subscribe to the channel. We'll get this fixed. It's probably not my fault, it's YouTube's fault. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.